Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. It is 2 in the morning. The room is dark, save for the cold blue light illuminating your face. You are lying in bed, thumb hovering over glass, flicking upward. Your eyes scan a feed that moves faster than your conscious thought can process. Your brain is weary. It is wired. It is desperate for sleep, yet it seeks one last hit of novelty. You know you should put the phone down. You want to put the phone down, but you cannot stop. When you finally do, hours later, a wave of guilt washes over you, a sensation that feels perilously close to the shame of a relapse. You whisper to yourself, "I am addicted." But are you? Today, we are going to dismantle one of the most pervasive narratives of the modern age. For over a decade, we have used the language of clinical pathology to describe our relationship with social media. We call ourselves users. We talk about dopamine hits, withdrawals, and detoxes. We view the architects of Silicon Valley as digital cartel lords, pushing a product as chemically coercive as nicotine. While this comparison is potent, emerging research from 2024 and 2025 suggests it obscures a more nuanced and liberating reality. What if you are not an addict? What if your brain has not been hijacked by a disease, but rather tricked by a design? This is the habit illusion. Today we are going to explore the neuroscience, sociology, and psychology behind why the scroll feels inescapable, the cognitive price we pay for it, and exactly how we can reverse engineer the trap to reclaim our autonomy. To understand why we feel addicted, we must first correct a massive misconception about the currency of the brain, which is dopamine. Popular culture has branded dopamine as the pleasure molecule, the chemical equivalent of getting a gold star or eating a cookie. This is scientifically incorrect. As neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman and others have clarified, dopamine is not about pleasure. It is about craving. It is about motivation. It is the chemical of more. When you see a notification badge on your phone, your brain does not release dopamine because you are happy. It releases dopamine to propel you to take action. It is the fuel that makes you click, check, and see. The pleasure of seeing a like is fleeting, often lasting only seconds. But the dopamine surge that precedes it is a powerful engine of behavior. This distinction is crucial because it explains why you can endlessly scroll through content that you do not even enjoy. You are not chasing happiness, you are stuck in a loop of anticipation. This brings us to the architecture of the trap, known as the ludic loop. The reason social media feels like a slot machine is because, structurally, it is a slot machine. In the mid-20th century, psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered something fascinating about behavior. He found that he could get pigeons to peck a lever endlessly, not by rewarding them every time they pecked, but by rewarding them randomly. This is called a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement, and it is the most addictive behavioral pattern known to science. If you knew that every time you checked Instagram you would see a boring photo of a sandwich, you would stop checking. But you don't know. It might be a boring sandwich, or it might be a viral video, a life-changing announcement, or a message from a crush. The uncertainty is the drug. Social media platforms are masters of this. Consider the pull-to-refresh mechanism. This interaction was explicitly designed to mimic the mechanical action of a slot machine arm. You pull down, you see the spinning wheel which acts as the tension, and you wait. Will you win the jackpot of social validation, or will you get nothing? Furthermore, whistleblower reports suggest that algorithms may actually batch notifications. Instead of delivering one like every 10 minutes, the app holds them back and delivers 10 at once. This creates a larger, more euphoric spike in dopamine, a jackpot moment that reinforces the behavior far more strongly than a steady trickle ever could. But here is the good news. While the neurochemistry mimics substance abuse, the mechanism differs. Clinical addiction involves a progressive narrowing of pleasure, where the addict eventually enjoys nothing else and needs the substance just to feel normal. Social media use, for the vast majority of us, fits better into the habit loop model described by researchers like Charles Duhigg. It consists of three parts. First, the cue. This can be internal, like boredom or anxiety, or external, like a ding or a red dot. Second, the routine. This is the unconscious action of unlocking the phone. Third, the reward. A temporary relief from the itch or a hit of validation. The illusion is that because the urge is strong, we assume the dependency is deep. But unlike heroin withdrawal, which causes violent physical illness, the withdrawal from social media is often a psychological phantom. It is a mix of boredom and anxiety that dissipates surprisingly quickly once the loop is broken. If we are the pigeons pecking the lever, we must ask, who built the box? We are living in an attention economy, where human attention is a finite resource mined for profit. To maximize time on device, designers employ dark patterns, which are user interface choices that coerce users into doing things they did not intend to do. The most famous of these is the infinite scroll. Before 2006, the internet had pages. When you reached the bottom of an article, you had to click next. That split-second pause was a moment of agency, a chance for your brain to ask, "Am I done?" The infinite scroll, invented by Asa Raskin, removed that stopping cue. The content now flows like a liquid, removing the natural friction that signals our brain to switch tasks. It exploits the Zeigarnik effect, a psychological phenomenon where our brains obsess over incomplete tasks. Because the feed never ends, the task of checking is never complete. We also face autoplay features on platforms like YouTube and Netflix, which shift the default choice from continue to stop. To not watch the next episode requires active intervention. In a state of cognitive fatigue, which screens induce, the path of least resistance is doing nothing, so we keep watching. Then there is false urgency and confirmed shaming. Notifications that say, your story expires in 1 hour, or you have a 3-day streak, create artificial scarcity. They imply that if you do not engage now, you lose something valuable. This exploits loss aversion, the economic principle that the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. The cost of this is not just lost time, it is the degradation of our cognition. Even if we are not clinically addicted, our brains are suffering from chronic fragmentation. Business professor Sophie Leroy coined the term attention residue. Her research shows that when you switch from task A, like writing a report, to task B, checking an email, and then back to task A, your attention does not immediately follow. A residue of your attention remains stuck on the email. In a world of constant notifications, we are never fully present in any task. We are operating with a fraction of our cognitive capacity, leading to a state of semi-distractedness that kills deep work and creativity. We are not multitasking. We are rapid toggling, and every toggle incurs a metabolic cost on the brain. Former Apple executive Linda Stone describes this state as continuous partial attention. Unlike multitasking, which is about efficiency, this state is motivated by a desire not to miss anything. It keeps the brain in a permanent state of high alert, flooding the system with cortisol. This explains why a day of scrolling feels physically exhausting. Your brain has been on guard for threats and opportunities for 12 hours straight. Beyond the cognitive cost, there is a sociological trap. We are living under surveillance capitalism, a term defined by Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff. This is an economic order that claims human experience as free raw material for translation into behavioral data. We are not the customers of social media. We are the carcasses from which data is harvested. The addiction is simply the mechanism by which the extraction happens. This creates a Goffman-esque nightmare. Sociologist Irving Goffman described social interaction as a theatrical performance. distinguishing between the front stage, where we perform, and the backstage, where we relax. Social media collapses these walls. We are now on stage 24/7. The pressure to maintain this digital avatar creates a sunk cost fallacy. We feel we cannot leave because we have invested thousands of hours building this identity. To delete the account feels like the death of the digital self. Cruelly, this leads to the loneliness paradox. Studies from Baylor University in 2024 and 2025 show that heavy social media use correlates with increased loneliness. We trade strong ties, which are deep, real-world relationships, for weak ties, which are performative and low stakes. We consume the highlights of others' lives, leading to comparative suffering, while our own capacity for empathy atrophies, because digital communication strips away the tone of voice required for true resonance. So how do we break the illusion? If it is a habit and not a disease, it can be broken through system design. The solution is not willpower, it is changing your environment. First, consider the Digital Minimalism Protocol, popularized by Cal Newport. This is not a detox, but a reset. It involves a 30-day break where you remove all optional technologies. During this time, you must rediscover analog joy. You cannot just remove the habit, you must replace the void with high-quality leisure like reading or hiking. You must reteach your brain that slow activities are rewarding. After 30 days, you do not just reinstall everything. You consciously reintroduce apps only if they serve a deep value. Another method is the dopamine detox, suggested by neuroscientists like Andrew Huberman. This involves abstaining from highly stimulating activities for 24 to 48 hours to resensitize your dopamine receptors. The outcome is that boredom becomes tolerable again. The itch to check subsides because the brain realizes it will not die without the stimulus. Finally, engage in friction engineering. Make your phone annoying to use. Turn on grayscale mode. Stripping the color removes the candy appeal of the icons, turning the slot machine into a utilitarian tool. Consider the dumb phone movement. New devices like the Lightphone 3 are gaining traction because they are tools, not traps. Or use app blockers like Opal or Freedom to create hard blocks during your workday. The habit illusion is a powerful cage, but the door is unlocked. The anxiety we feel about disconnecting, the fear of missing out, is a marketing fabrication. The reality is the joy of missing out. When we step out of the loop, we do not miss life. We regain it. We regain the ability to sit in silence, to hold a conversation without glancing at a wrist, and to think a thought through to its conclusion without it being fractured by a notification. We are not broken. We are not addicts. We are simply humans living in an environment designed to distract us, and we have the power to redesign it. Thank you for listening to G Fun Facts Online.